Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Chris?
President Monge is absent today. Vice President Matthews,
Here.
Member Nath,
Here.
Member Bramscher,
Here.
Member Gagliardi is absent today. Member Gogra is absent today. And Council Representative McKenzie.
Here.
Staff and ex-officio members present today are Executive Director Frandle and EDA Secretary Cherne.
So let's hop right into this. Let's motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. Oh, I don't say. I don't talk. Rob.
I'll second.
Hop right in. Meeting open to the public, Chris. Anybody online? No Zoom? All right, let's hop right into our action items here for tonight. Go ahead, Chris, and kind of fill us in here.
Did we do the approval of minutes yet?
Oh, sorry. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Hey, he is here.
Come on up. Can I get a second? Approval of minutes?
Hi, how are you? I'm Dave.
You did go for it. How are you?
Good, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
I'll second it. Let's hop into the discussion items now, Chris.
This first item is the election of 2025 officers. So per the bylaws of the North St. Paul Economic Development Authority, the authority shall annually elect the offices of president, vice president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, and secretary. The offices of secretary and assistant treasurer do not need to be held by an authority member, but the other three do. So staff recommend the EDA conduct this annual election.
Since we have new members today, can you talk a little bit about, just go into the bylaws a little bit and talk about the different roles, their duties, responsibilities? What does that mean? What are we voting on here?
Sure. So I will just read straight from the bylaws what each of these offices are. So the president presides at all meetings of the authority, and vice president fills in for that president if the president is absent. So that is what Joe is doing right now. Treasurer, the treasurer shall receive and be responsible for authority money, is responsible for the acts of the assistant treasurer, shall disperse authority money by check only, keep an account of all authority receipts and the nature, purpose, and authority of all disbursements, and shall file the authority's financial statement with its secretary at least once a year, as set by the authority. The assistant treasurer has all powers and duties of the treasurer if the treasurer is absent or disabled, and the assistant treasurer does not need to be a member of the EDA. Lastly, the secretary keeps the minutes of all meetings of the authority and shall maintain or cause to be maintained all records of the authority. The secretary shall also have such additional duties and responsibilities as the authority may from time to time and by resolution prescribe. in that position does not need to be an EDA member either.
Thanks, Chris. Questions on any of the responsibilities that Chris just laid out for the different roles on the EDA? And I don't know, Brian and I just briefly talked, I don't know if we want to table this and call a meeting for next month when everybody's here. We want to move forward and vote. Guess I'm looking for your
Open
guys',
for discussion, yeah. You guys-
What would be the benefit of delay?
We're missing 2 voting members right now, but if, we can still move ahead as well. The mayor was okay with moving forward with it. Peter Gagliardi's not here, but we can certainly move forward with it if you'd like.
Anyone?
If nobody's saying no, then we can proceed. Except otherwise,
Maybe I don't understand it. Is it, I mean, isn't we could do vote today, we do the vote at another meeting, it's probably going to be the same outcome, yeah?
Potentially, you just don't have all the board members putting their opinion out there,
Got it,
but yes, it could be.
yeah.
You need to have a quorum. And do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum, we have 4 members.
So we can.
We can, yes.
I'm fine either way. Oh, could be the same, could be different.
Well, if there's concern, maybe we table it, you know? If everybody feels better about having as much input as possible, we go that route. Just throwing it out there.
I'm fine with whatever decision that you guys take. I think I should be fine.
This is my first meeting, so I'll defer to the group.
My gut feeling says we table it and we have a meeting next month since not everybody's here. It'd be nice if everybody was here in order to put the people in the right seats that we want
Okay.
and have that discussion. That's my thoughts.
Is that a
Is
motion?
that a motion?
Yeah, you want to motion that?
Let's motion tabling it out one more month.
I'll second.
Okay?
Good.
Move it out a month.
Since you brought that up, and we're tabling it out a month, just make it official that we will be having a meeting next month as opposed to next quarter.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know if, Chris, you want to address this, the WSB proposal, the downtown design manual?
I will
Brian, you
defer
wanna
that
do
to
that?
Brian,
Okay.
but first, just for a point of clarification, is there supposed to be a vote after the motion is seconded?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect, thank you. Since it is quarterly now, do we need to make a motion to have a meeting next month? Or can we just call that? Okay, which you already did.
Okay.
Go ahead, you were going to say? Did you have a comment on the WSB? No? Okay. So we were going to look at a proposal from WSB. In discussions in previous board meeting, we were talking about having a grant program for a facade improvement program for businesses along 7th Avenue and Margaret. It was brought up by a member at the time that maybe it should be looked at on the downtown design manual on whether or not that should be looked at prior to starting the facade improvement program to make sure that it was in compliance. After looking into the information that we have, I don't know that that necessarily needs to be the first step. That downtown design manual was updated 20 years ago. So it is very old. It needs to be kicked over to the Planning Commission. They need to take a deep dive into it and determine whether or not it's even relevant anymore, and they want to continue with that, and everything having to do with that would be covered by the zoning code to where you wouldn't need that downtown design manual. We did have the conversation with WSB, who was talking about maybe just taking a part of the downtown design manual that may specifically have to do with the facade part of the businesses, and maybe just update that part of it. But it's so old and outdated that I don't know if that's the appropriate move. So I think I'd like to table that part of updating that downtown design manual and probably just push off the whole project onto the Planning Commission. That'll be a city action item to send over to them. And probably just move forward with the grant program for the facade improvement program. Now, we do have new members on here. I know you guys haven't had a chance to probably read through that. It's not real in-depth. I'm wondering if we can't just take the time to go through that, and if anything sticks out, we can make changes on it, and we can actually approve it the next one. But if you want to, if we can go through it and people are in agreement of it, we could actually move forward with this, and we could get this out to the downtown businesses to see if any interested parties want to sign up for the program. You guys have that in front of you. I think probably be a good time for review anyway. They did have this program once upon a time, a while back. So the idea was, and the conversations that were had previously were, this would cover, there was a big conversation about the signage for the downtown businesses and whether or not it could cover that. I think it seemed appropriate that that would be part of this. You could do tuck pointing, whether or not it's a brick facade front of your building. You could look at awnings. I feel like bringing you up here and talking about it. And what would it do is it would be a match type grant. So the grants will pay 50% of the total project to a maximum of up to $20,000. Grant, so the owners would actually pay the bills up front, and then it would be a reimbursement after they turned in the receipts and shown that they have performed the work. And it had a minimum grant amount of $5,000 for a total project cost of $10,000. The whole program, we've limited the amounts to $200,000 for all parties involved. So once we get to that, it would be a cutoff limit to not go any further than that with the yearly funds that we had. So the parameter of it is, it's on 7th Avenue and Margaret Street, and it would go from Highway 36 down to 6th Street on Margaret, and from 7th Avenue it was, I believe, 1st to Highway 120, not including the post office. I guess we could go over a couple of the things that it talks about here. Restoration of exterior finishes and materials, masonry repairs, including tuck pointing, exterior painting or reciting, removal of architecturally inappropriate or incompatible exterior finishes and materials, repair or replacement of windows and doors, which must be architecturally appropriate. Contracted labor related to any of the above improvements, including design work for improvement that are to be completed, up to 25% of total project cost eligible. Other improvements similar to what's above, and grant funds may be used to pay for the materials. So some projects may require prior approval. We don't have a historical preservation commission anymore, but we will update that. But anything kind of outside of the norm, that we had said that we'd have the ability of people coming to the meeting and proposing what their grant money would go towards, and then the commission could make the decision on whether or not to move forward with that.
Do you collect lien waivers from the subcontractors or contractors to make sure that when the business owner pays a bill, it's in full and there are no mechanics liens?
That is a
sitting out
one.
on the sidelines?
That is a great question, and it was not talked about. I think it would be appropriate, though.
And I would think if you were gonna reimburse a business owner for work completed, the last thing, you wouldn't want a mechanics lien coming out, being filed against the property.
What's the process for receiving those?
It's just a one-page document from the title company. I have copies of them, where it basically says when the contractor is paid, they acknowledge that they're paid in full, so they can't lien the property
Yeah.
for what they just got paid.
Seems smart.
Yes, it does.
If I remember correctly, we don't vote, we don't review the applications, staff does that, right?
Staff would do that as long as it fell within the guidelines of this. Anything above and beyond, we were giving them the ability to come in and talk about it.
Great.
You know what, this is not, we're gonna have to bring back a final one next month, because I can see this was not the final copy, because we did have conversations about the signage, and I believe the conclusion on that was it would qualify. Initially, we were saying that it wouldn't, but the consensus of the board was that it would. So we will have to update that.
Yeah, that is correct.
You actually have a lien waiver line item here.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's already covered. I'm just seeing this.
Where was
for
it
the
at?
first time.
It's on the last page.
Last page.
Last page, page 5,
Okay.
item 4A, there's a lien waiver requirement.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, thoughts on this? So Brian, your recommendation is following up on this next month?
Please,
Okay.
I do want to update that, or for things that we're saying not applicable, because it does include the signs in that, so there's another updated, we'll get the most updated copy that we will put a final stamp of approval on
Okay.
from the council next, or commission next month. There has been one business that reached out that was interested in this program already, so.
Okay.
Anything else on that? Any other input?
Any other questions? You guys on this? Concerns, anything you want to change before next month? I think timeline, we're probably still okay. You know, we
Yeah.
have a meeting next month in April, just to give businesses an opportunity to read over this, get their ducks in a row, plan for the summer to participate in this.
Yeah.
Just from a weather standpoint.
Exactly right.
You know, we've been working on this for 2 years now.
Yes.
So trying to get this out to the businesses is hopefully and should be important to us to get the ball rolling.
Yep, absolutely.
Do we have some kind of outreach for the businesses that would qualify?
We have not advertised for it yet. We wanted to get this in place before we did that, but yeah, we will. All right.
Okay?
Let's see.
I don't know if, Chris, you want to talk about amending the membership for the EDA? Is that something you wanted to address?
I will probably let Brian speak to that item.
Was he's? So, and I'll let Joe, you can jump in here on that as well for that discussion, but it was brought up towards the end of last year. Now with the new board, discussions have been had on whether or not to keep the EDA, which is an authority, as an authority and or to transition it to a recommendation commission. The idea of even when it was brought up to begin with was the idea that it came down to spending of funds. At least one argument was made that but being it's an authority, they have the ability to do that. I know like our HRA through the city is actually city council, and it was thought that that was an appropriate board member, if you will, at being the council because it's approving funds for the city. Being that it's an authority, they have that ability of doing that. They have the ability of going out and borrowing money and spending money. It's not reliant on the city, so I don't know if you have any other Oops, excuse me. If you had any other information that you wanted to share with that, Joe, from that previous conversation?
Yeah, I mean, you basically touched on it. I mean, I think the big transparency, the difference is commission to authority. Authority, you know, has a budget, can advise city council on how or where that money is spent. But at the end of the day, the council has the final vote on where that money is spent. But it is still two separate buckets, okay? Our budget within the authority, city council can't take that. It's ours. Now, they can, from my understanding, they can say, no, we don't want to do that project. They have the final say, but the money is still, it's still ours. And you can talk a
Authority,
little bit about that, how that works. I think that's always been the biggest holdup on whether or not to go commission or do an authority.
previously, the authority has always been open with any kind of expenditures to where they bring the council in on that. But do they necessarily have to, the way an authority works? I don't know that they do.
Okay.
But it's just keeping all the conversations open, including the city council. I mean, the authorities exist because there's a city that they are there of why we can put funds aside as an authority. But, so it was just an open conversation, letting them know how the money was being spent. I don't know that necessarily they had to approve it. The authority can spend their own funds.
You're nodding your head, is
Yeah.
that how you understand it? Okay. I was always under the impression that council was the last say, but I could be wrong.
Not with an authority,
Okay.
is my understanding.
What are the, you know, from other cities, what are the pros and cons about being a commission and being an authority? I would say the other cities that I know of out there, a lot of them are a commission now. You do still have EDA authorities out there, but there's not as many as there were 30 years ago.
And there are other cities that the authorities are, I mean, the council actually is the HRA, the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. The decision is it appropriate that they be the EDA to where they are the authority, last say of power in what decisions are made. Whether or not it's a planning commission, it's very seldom that they are overridden, so when they come forward to council with recommendations, they're more than likely followed. So it would be the same situation with this if this commission wasn't the actual authority as opposed to just a recommendation commission.
Okay. Questions on that? You kind of understand we are an authority right now.
Is there a concern that we should be a commission?
It was just asked to be thrown out there and discussed. Is it necessarily a concern? No. I mean, we haven't seen any issues necessarily come out of this. I think historically, the authority has made a lot of good decisions that have worked out well for the city. So it was just asked to be talked about today.
It's talked about every year.
Yeah.
It's never been changed.
Yeah, it's not being pushed to say this is what we want to have done. It's a
And
discussion.
we as the city council asking that question.
A member of city council. Yeah.
It's my first meeting, so.
It's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
You gotta have an answer. Come on now.
I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, same with me. Today's my first day, so I'm wondering if this will make the commission more effective compared to what it is now, being the authority.
So I think what would be beneficial when you're always in situations like this is you have to gather more information. So I don't know if Chris, we can talk about this next month a little bit about why have other cities gone from an authority to a commission, or why have other cities gone from a commission to an authority? What are the pros? What are the cons? Why would you do that? Just lay it all out there for us so we can have more information and have more of a educated conversation about it. 'Cause we're not gonna be able to make a decision tonight when we just don't know enough about it. Or why would it, besides the other cities doing it, why would making a change for the city of North St. Paul, how would it benefit the city of North St. Paul moving forward?
I just think that could be any number of things. You have cities that, councils that maybe don't necessarily see through the same lens as authorities, so then they feel that there's an issue. Or you have a hard time, getting people from commissions or authorities to show up to meetings, or, it could be any number of things. But like I said, historically, and last time this was discussed, they decided to move ahead with being an authority, that the authority had done a lot of good things over the years, and it wasn't an issue. So that was the decision last time, that it was working well the way it was, and they left it alone.
And I would think, going back over this conversation next month, any sort of authorities or commissions, it's all about having the right people in the right seats. And for a long time, we had a phenomenal EDA of having the right people in the right seats. And making great suggestions on moving forward for builds, for moving the city in the right direction. Because there's a lot of expertise at that time of who was on the EDA. And I would think, can we keep that going? Do we have the right people in the right seats? Not that, but we gotta know what we're doing. So I would think that has a lot to play into whether you should be an authority or a commission.
And we have a good commission, too, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's get more information. And let's have that discussion next month.
Sounds good.
Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, makes more sense.
Okay.
I assume if the council wanted this, if there was a big movement to transition us, they could just have a vote and do it, right? I mean, it's not necessarily just on this body to make that call, right? Okay.
It's a good question.
That's a great question. Brian, do you know that answer?
Off the top of my head, no.
I'll be the devil's advocate.
Yep.
If I'm sitting at the city council, I would not want a rogue EDA making decisions outside of the scope of the city council. And so my knee-jerk reaction, first meeting, I've been on this seat for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I would think we should be a commission recommending to the city council and let them make the final decision. Because to your point, I saw the members who were part of the EDA going back years, and they were a phenomenal group, and they did a lot of positives. But now you have a new EDA, and if I am the mayor, I am the city council, I want control to some degree of the EDA, or this group here. I'm just talking out loud.
No, this is, and those are great points, and they've been brought up in the past. These are fantastic points.
And not that I'm arguing one way or the other. The other side of that is we have business owners, we have bankers, we have people who know a lot of background of what it takes to, give information to an EDA. And nothing bad at all about our council. Our council doesn't have that background. So is it necessarily, do they have the best background to make those decisions as well? So you can make it either way, and it depends, again, who's on your commission, who's on your authority to make those decisions. So,
Understood.
yeah.
I'd definitely be more comfortable, talking about this in a month after studying a little bit. If we wanted to even entertain the notion, I don't know.
Well, I think I definitely think that we should talk about it more, but
We'll table it,
information
yeah.
would be good. All right. Staff updates?
Yeah, I'm going to go back a little ways, just to kind of discuss some other things that we've done previously. So some of the properties, the city really only has about 2 more properties that are developable right now. One is across the street from City Hall here. They just call it the Margaret Street Commons, for lack of a better name. It's about 3/4 of an acre over there. We did go out for an RFP on that property. which came down at the end of last year. It was out for, I think, over 2 months, and we actually didn't get any official entries into it or applications into it. What we did have conversation with a developer that had just said, interest rates are still pretty high, construction costs were still pretty high, there was still some instability in the market that it just didn't make a lot of sense right now to officially turn in an application for that. But that was the deepest conversation that we had about that. So it's just out there for develop in the future if somebody shows interest. And maybe when the time is right again, we can put another RFP forward to try to look at that. Downtown, we have an empty lot that is between Sidewinders Bar up there and the tattoo shop. It used to be the old clinic. And that is the other property that could potentially be developed someday. That's just kind of sitting out there. We haven't had any inquiries into that just yet either. One thing that we have discussed in previous meetings is finding a company that could give us direction, be our cheerleader, if you will. We did look into a couple of them. CETA was one of them, and another one that I talked to was called Placer. It was just recently that we got some information back, so I think we'll have a more full conversation about that next month as well. But there are companies that they take a look at your town, they find out, do you have good wayfinding in your town? Do you have, getting around your city, can you find your way around with, depending on wayfinding, or is your website, does it show you around well? Does it give you a taste of the businesses that are in town? So that was what CETA was going to put together, and that other company, Placer, that I talked to, it's more comes from a web. They aren't even local, but it kind of tells you foot traffic. It tells you businesses and how many patrons they have throughout a year, a day, a month. So it's just a lot of data that you can put out there to try to attract businesses and also maybe keep businesses that you currently have. But we can have a more complete report on that next month. Just an update on the Article 7. It was one of the topics that we had talked about. They are up and running now. They are over 75% full now. They have, I believe it's 40-some% as far as people living in there, but they are over 75% on units sold, and that was information from several weeks ago, so that might even be more than that now. So they're really happy with the way that has progressed, and we're glad to see it as well.
Good for them.
Absolutely. Another development that we have going is up on Delaware and 17th Avenue. There are going to be 5 duplexes that are being put in there, or townhomes. 2 of them are well on their way. They're pulling permits on the next units here shortly. So that project's coming along well. It's sat empty for quite some time, so it's nice to see that go up. They're good-looking buildings. We have a couple other potential developments. We have a property that is owned on McKnight, or just north of Highway 36, that Mueller Funeral Home is looking at potentially developing there, which would be not only just a funeral home, but then attached to it as well is kind of a meeting place where they can have events, an event center, if you will. I believe they have the same setup up in White Bear Lake right now, to where they hold events along with those the funerals that they have. And then another unit, or another potential development, is over on 7th and South Avenue. They're looking at putting in 2 4-plex units there. It's kind of squished onto that property, but that's what we have hanging that we know more than likely is going to come forward as far as development goes. So this is just kind of FYI information.
Is there any thought of what will go in across the street here and at the Sidewinders wall?
Nothing
Would allow?
specific. What a common theme that has been going on for a while, which happened with the Centennial Building downtown and Article 7, was apartment living above and potentially, hopefully, some kind of commercial on the first floor.
Mixed use type of product.
Correct. They tried that with the Article 7. They were hoping to have live-work units on the first floor. There were, I believe, 9 places that were spec'd out for that. They did reach out to several different companies. Nobody actually bid on it, so they are actually being rented out now or as apartments as opposed to businesses. But they're still hoping to get some in, but there just hasn't been the market for it as of right now.
Just as a question, has there been any thought about traffic on Seventh with, with the apartments by Max and then this Article 7 and then Sidewinders? Because that Sidewinders lot looks like a nice sized lot that could accommodate apartments. Obviously, we want traffic and we want, but could Sentry handle extra traffic from any apartments coming in?
We have not heard that it couldn't by any means, no. And we also did a downtown study as far as livability and what we can handle for more living units. And even with the 2 developments there, they said we could still handle more. Yeah. The lot across the street it's kind of long and narrow. Unfortunately, on the backside of it, there are some utility restrictions, if you will. There's probably a 4-foot drainage pipe back behind there, which kind of squeezes the property in a little more, which would probably make it more parking lot than anything else, so you'd still have access to it. Overhead power lines in the back, I guess they could be taken care of, but there were just some restrictions on the size of that lot across the street.
Quick question. Have we heard anything on Pine Tree Center in the last 3 months, or?
The latest I have on that is, the pizza factory was going to move out of there at the end of last year. Last I heard now is they have extended a lease to them. It sounded like before they had a place all ready to go that they were going to move to, but for some reason that didn't go through. They are still there, and they've extended their lease.
Where is that?
The pizza factory, it's out on South and 120. It's,
Where the old Holiday,
Oh,
yeah,
old Holidays, so,
the building is pretty run down.
I believe
I mean, it's empty
the
besides
pizza place is the only
pizza
tenant,
place
right?
is the only tenant in there.
And they tried to find another place for them. They looked at one place downtown, but the remodel costs were going to be too high. The Love's ice cream place downtown, they had tried to sell that over the winter. I guess they have moved out, and they're just trying to sell the business and the property. I didn't know if it would work for like the pizza factory, because they have a full kitchen in there. But I don't know where the costs are, his budget is at, if that's worth them looking into. But they're going to be putting that on the market again shortly. It was on there for a while, didn't go anywhere. They pulled it, and it'll be getting back onto the market here as the weather turns nicer. So, yeah, the owner, he's expressed interest. He's thrown ideas, I guess I should say, out there that maybe he'll tear it down, maybe he'll develop it, or we haven't got any solid answers out of him, so we're not sure where he's at.
That's, if I remember correctly, that's not a local person, right? That's okay.
Correct. Yep. That's all I have for now. So, go ahead.
How about you guys, anything? Any other updates? Brandon, besides the patio?
Looking forward to spring.
Okay.
Indeed.
That's all I got.
I'll be having dinner there tonight.
Very good, very
Yeah.
good.
2 clients.
I do have one more. Can I
Yeah.
go? So we had a ribbon cutting ceremony for Puzzles yesterday, which is over there on 11th and McKnight Road on the northwest corner there. Used to be an old gas station once upon a time. But that's they have a bar restaurant in there, but they also have a room for rental. They have the capacity of over 400 in that room in there. it was a nice-looking place, so, and looks like they already booked out well into August.
August, good for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. I saw the pictures, the place is sharp.
yeah,
Yeah.
They have a decent turnout for the ribbon cutting.
they did.
Good.
Yep, so it was nice to see. So best of luck to them.
Good. Nothing else?
Nice building in there.
That's beautiful. All right. Well, motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
Oh, so moved. And second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.